Okay, we're live. Thanks everyone for coming. Another ComCom Node.js committee meeting. We this is for what day is today? Thursday, October 17th, 2019. Let's per request of Ahmad, we are going to bump this up. One of the issues specifically to prioritize it just so he can get to his next meeting. Specifically, it's PR 544, which is moving him to emeritus. I guess, are there any -1s or anything like that?
Yeah, I can give some context. So
cool.
I've been inactive in the ComCom for a while, and I think it's the right move to move my status. However, I want to continue leading the mentorship team. So I've had a chat with Tierney about how we'd go about that after I move to emeritus after that. So I guess you can give more context on this, Tierney, but I believe since I'm going to be leaving the ComCom, we're going to need someone to provide updates, or if we need anything from the mentorship team side, to have someone on the ComCom plus resolve any issue that occurs. Or if we need to escalate something for moderation, for example, that's happening with the mentors or mentees. I used to play that role, being part of the ComCom, but it's not something that requires continuous attention, but it's good to have someone that I'll be able to reach out to if that's needed.
Cool. So similar to how we have Michael as the ComCom champion kind of connector person for I believe enterprise advisory, or not enterprise advisory, enterprise user feedback. Is there anyone willing to be able to do that for mentorship? Cool. So since there's nobody immediately accessible, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you clarify what it will take? Because I'm not sure.
So it has to be a ComCom member, and it is someone who's willing to just kind of participate at least in the meetings and probably through the Node.js Slackers group a bit, just to kind of get a little bit of context of what's happening and be able to provide updates to the ComCom about what's happening. We have been getting this to some extent through one of the folks from Tracy Lee's company. I'm spacing on the name of the company, who has occasionally, yes, this thought, thank you, who's occasionally come in and I believe has been helping to some extent with it. Additionally, there's another person who has come in occasionally, and I'm spacing on who that was.
I was wondering if we should talk about a slightly different model as well, in terms of being able to identify champions who are not necessarily ComCom members, and then figuring out, do we need a bi-weekly update, or is it something where we could invite those champions to come every once a month or whatever the right is interval, so that people can easily lead an initiative without needing to be a core ComCom member. I think
that's probably a good model.
Something definitely discussed in the past and just wasn't kind of codified into the law. We don't want to block good community work just because there's not somebody on this committee that can attend a meeting at a weekly time. Also, there's no, as long as there's a clean escalation path, if something goes wrong, which we do have with the moderation team, there's also no reason why updates necessarily have to be made in person. So you can maybe submit a written update if you're a community leader who can't attend ComCom meetings once a month or something.
Yeah, I think shooting
ideas.
I think just sharing that. Sharing that with either the chair or a ComCom member and having that occasionally, or maybe on request, would be a good path for sure.
Because then that means that like the link, like I'm the link for the enterprise advisory, or sorry, not anyway, the enterprise user feedback team. If that's more of a like on need, it's also something that's easier for the ComCom members to take on, right? Because it's not like you don't need to go to the meetings and attend and spend that couple hours every week. It's more like if the team needs help, you're there to say, okay, I'll take the request to the ComCom if they're having somebody on the ComCom itself facilitates it. But it's much more of an ad hoc on demand, exceptional demand, as opposed to like a weekly extra hour or two that you've got to take.
Like a ComCom on call.
Yeah, it's somebody that there is if you want to ask something or you want to help get something done that needs some ComCom input, here's the person who can help you get that done.
Yeah, so more like a ComCom contact.
Yeah, exactly. You're not the champion for the initiative. You're just their resource, effectively.
Yeah.
Cool.
In terms of updates, like I'd be happy to submit updates or join a meeting. Depends on the frequency. I'm sure I can do it at least once a month, but I'm not sure if I can attend the ComCom meetings like every 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. Is that something we want to codify?
I think it makes sense to write that down as and allow, like, I know, like, Saleh is working on something as well, and if we're not going to be able to find a ComCom champion, it's something that would enable that to figure out how that should be moving forward without that as well.
Yeah, I've been working on something that I've been waiting to submit that I think or waiting to create an issue on. I was planning on it for this meeting, but I got sick. I've been getting feedback from a couple people, but I think it could also play into that. I will try to get that up either tomorrow or Monday. But yeah, I think this is probably a good direction, and one that maybe like sets us more in the role of facilitators as it should be, rather than the active folk. So yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it precludes. It'd be great to have ComCom members actively leading things as well. It's just that we don't want to make that the limiting factor or a requirement for some,
For sure. And I think that also creates, I mean, I think we still need to address a little bit of how we approach membership in ComCom. But I think that creates a little bit cleaner of a path to our current status quo with that, and it being selected from, membership of initiatives and active folks in initiatives.
Yep.
Cool. So in that case, is there anyone who's willing to take that on as an action item? Okay, in that case, I will do it. I will set aside some time next week to go over this. I'm just making myself a note real quick. I will set aside some time to kind of go and try to refactor the initiatives phrasing a bit. Sorry, let me just log that real quick. Cool. Awesome. And with that, I don't think we need to block Ahmad's request to move to Emeritus.
I'm -1 just because we'll miss you, but I'm
right. I'm not sure we can quite say no, right? So
yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
Thank you. I've learned a lot, honestly, and it was a great experience. Hopefully, when I have like enough time again, I'll gladly join the ComCom again and be active.
I hope that can happen again. Thank you for the work you've done, both in ComCom and in mentorship. You've done a bunch. It's super appreciated.
Thanks.
Cool. And so I request that ComCom members go +1 and comment on that. though like Michael said, I don't think there's anything we could do. Like, are we gonna veto the PR to leave?
Yeah.
Like,
Suppose we could beg, but that's not really dignified.
Yeah.
Cool. In that case, I think we can move on to the rest of the agenda. Thank you, Ahmad, for bringing that up and having us bring that up earlier so you could be here for it. Cool. So with that, let's get on to the normal agenda. Let's see here. So let's do initiative updates. Any updates from initiatives that folks are parts of?
Since I'm here, I can provide update for mentorship.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're currently preparing for the next cohort. So we've learned a lot during the last cohort about how to go about matching and also about the process itself. So the process was kind of unfair because everyone can apply to like select their top mentor, like mentees can select their top mentors. And this resulted in having each mentor having like 200 candidates that they have to select from, which is unfair. So for this round, we're gonna limit for each mentor maximum of 30 candidates that the mentors can choose their top 3 from. And after that, we choose one from those 3 based on like inclusivity and diversity and stuff like that. So yeah, we're yet to announce the dates for the next cohort. But it should be coming within the next month.
Awesome. Any questions? Cool. Thank you for the update. Adam, I saw you unmute.
Yep. I've got one for website redesign. We've been chugging away on implementation and have some good active work going on in the main repo. Or sorry, in node.js.dev. We are continuing to work on implementing the full redesigned mock in a staging branch right now that we're going to merge into master once we have parity and it's in a usable state. We're getting real close. And this Saturday, starting at around 9 a.m. Pacific time, going until when when we get tired. We're going to have another hackathon since that's worked very well in the past. We've had 2 or 3 of those other ones where we've had 3 or 4 people calling in to come and just kind of hang out on a video chat and work for the day. So we will be online this Saturday, continuing to hack away. Everybody is welcome to join. I would point you to the issue in node.js.dev, but I am mobile right now and don't have it readily available. But it is an open issue in the node.js.dev repo. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Cool. Thank you. Any other initiative updates or foundation updates?
Not sure if I should go ahead with mine now or talk about it during the issue, but just in case, I should give an update or not.
I'm literally adding it to the agenda right now. So let's like in the issues. So let's do it with the issues section.
Okay. So I'll move on then to board update, CPC update. Makes sense.
Cool. Yep.
On the board front, the next meeting is I'll probably get this wrong, but last week of the month. So it's upcoming. I don't have any issues on the board right now. So if there are any issues that you want to bring up, just let me know. And I guess, Joe, I'll leave the CPC update to you.
Sure, I can chime in and add anything that I miss or whatnot. Michael, thank you. So let's see. I guess the first thing is for folks who don't know, NVM joined the foundation in the incubating period, as well as, yeah, that's exciting. As well as the AMP project, which was announced last week, I think. Time is flying, so I think it was last week. So that's exciting. 2 projects already in the process. And we've been seeing a lot of momentum there, and it's great. Along those lines, we've been doing a lot of work on project progression and how projects apply and work through the process of joining the foundation. There's been a lot of work there. Michael has a pull request open 321 in the project repo that addresses a lot of the things that we've been finding. We're hoping to land that and then iterate on it, iterate on the process with a couple of the folks who have recently gone through it, and perhaps with some folks who are going through it in the process as well. I wanted to call out too that we are moving the COC proposal to stage 2, so that could be of interest to folks if they want to check that out. Moving that along to our staging process. After that, we will be taking it to the board. We've been discussing some responsible security disclosure discussions, I guess. The node security working group is going to work through something of a proposal, and then we're going to kind of work from there. And let's see. I'm not sure what else there is. I guess I could mention if anybody's interested in infrastructure, the jQuery folks from the jQuery infrastructure group are having a meeting right after this meeting at 1 p.m. Eastern time that they're going to try to start working through some of their issues, which I think will help drive and inform some of the issues that we work through at the foundation. If you're interested in that, I believe the issue is in the cross-project council repo. 345 is the issue that talks about that more. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, so if you thought of anything, Michael or Tierney or anything.
The only other thing maybe is I remember the mention that there's standards meeting was upcoming. If people have interest in standards to join in on that.
Yeah, we meet every other week. We haven't been getting a lot of attendance, so the meetings have been pretty light. So if anybody has interest, please let me know or join the meetings. There's a standards channel on the Slack, the OpenJS Slack channel, Slack.org. So yeah, if you have interest in that, please let me know. It's been a little bit slow to get that started. And yeah, I think that covers everything.
Cool. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, of course.
Good. Cool. Awesome. In that case, are there any questions on OpenJS stuff or website stuff, which I realized I didn't ask if there were? Cool. In that case, we can move on. I have a quick, I just wanted to do the moderation team log update. It looks like there's been one logged item, which is we received a spam report since I last, there was a spam report to report at node.js.org since I last updated. There are some ongoing things right now that haven't been logged, but probably will be. Cool. Awesome, we can move on. It's logging that I logged it, or I shared the log. Cool. Time for the agenda. Just for those who are adding or joining now, if you could add yourselves to the doc, that would be fantastic. I will share the link in the chat if you have not already.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Tierney, but I wanted to just take a moment. We have someone observing today, Dave Whiteley, who is a colleague of mine. We've been working together since the Strong Loop days. He's been doing a lot of Node stuff. Was on the marketing committee, and he asked about what we're doing in ComCom, so I invited him to join the meeting. So, welcome, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Dave.
I'm very happy to be here. As Joe mentioned, I'm just assessing where I can perhaps help out. I'm kind of logged in live from the API Specs conference, so hence no camera on right now, but definitely paying attention and seeing how I could slip in. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Cool. So, by the way, thank you, Michael. I also just want to thank Michael. I'm pretty confident that it's mostly him that takes a lot of minutes. I could be wrong, but I do want to thank Michael for that.
Sure, I'm happy to add in. I think other people are adding as well.
Okay, good, awesome, perfect. I know that I end up talking a lot, so I will check in a lot. So thank you all to those who take minutes. It's super helpful for everyone. Cool. So we took care of the moving Ahmad to emeritus issue. I'm just going to move that down because not in the correct place. It's a ComCom issue. I just want to quickly fix that. Cool. So the next issue is Collaborator Summit, or the first issue is Collaborator Summit Montreal. Does anyone have context on that or want to share about it?
I think, having touched on it in the TSC meeting as well, I think it's just on there for awareness. Mateo, I think I checked. Yeah, he added it a few days ago, and I think it's basically like, let's make sure everybody knows that it's there, and that, you know, make sure you include it in your travel plans for Node.js Plus Interactive, which we hope people are going to, as well as there are like the link is available in terms of proposing sessions and so forth.
Also, yeah, just spreading the link for the CFP too. We put it up, but then we didn't quite spread it around as much as we probably should have. So if we can get the word out. And the CFP is both for Collab Summit and Community Corner. We're gearing more of the collaborative sessions, obviously, for Collab Summit, and then more workshop style sessions for Community Corner. Folks can indicate that in the CFP, or we will kind of direct people in one way or the other, depending on the talk and the style that it lends itself to.
I see. So there isn't a separate one for the Community Corner.
No, we just decided that it would make more sense to do them both together.
Okay. I did have one other question. I know we were discussing in one of the working groups a submission, and we were wondering, like, you know, what we're trying to decide was between collaborate, workshop, and talk. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, you know, we didn't want to choose necessarily just collaborate if that meant that like new people felt that it was, you know, just collaboration among an existing working group versus a workshop that, you know, might be more like we're going to do a presentation for people who don't necessarily have all the context, because we were looking to kind of do a combination. So I was wondering, you know, if there is anything behind those, and maybe a little bit more in terms of information of what, by choosing one or the other or multiples, what you're trying to communicate.
Well, you do both. The Community Corner will run along the same timeline as the JS Interactive, and then Collab Summit will be afterwards. So if you want to do one that is more, so we're focusing Community Corner more towards newer people, and doing, which is why we want to do the workshop style that is more conducive to them joining. And then the Collaborative Summit, it's not that we want to exclude newer people, but we also got a strong, or at least I've gotten strong feedback that it really needs to be more sit down and kind of hash things out and work on things, and people need to have some knowledge of what's going on in the session, because people don't want to take a ton of time to bring people up to speed, that wasn't the place to do it. But if I'm wrong on that, please let me know. That's just kind of what I've been told.
Right, that was kind of where I you know, that's where I was coming from, because I'd heard kind of some of those discussions. I guess like in the context of the package maintenance team, it's like we wanted to spend some time on the workshop, you know, on the working together, let's move things forward, but also some time on the evangelization of, hey, if you haven't been involved, this is what we're doing, and get involved. So it was kind of like, how do we signal both of those? Was what we were trying to figure out.
Yeah, so my suggestion is that you do a workshop style talk that's directed more at bringing newer people on board, and you can do that during the JS Interactive, and then you can also do a second one that is more focused towards the collaborators during Collab Summit. Am I answering a question, or am I still missing something?
I think that makes sense. So like it would be like submit multiple, which I can understand
Yes.
makes sense. I could still see though, like we, at the Collaborator Summit, we might want to still encourage collaborators to come and get involved, right?
Yeah, well, and I mean, in my head, if you are doing the workshop style talk beforehand, that would be the portion that would bring people up to speed. And if they wanted to stay for Collaborator Summit, they already have that background to contribute. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, okay. So I get the point there. Okay.
One question. Sorry, I had to check to make sure I wasn't muted. One question I have, with kind of the assertions around, it just needs to be pure collaboration at the Collaborator Summit. One of the things that does kind of concern me in that is that, like, including people who are sitting in this meeting right now, we've had impactful people join us from attending the Collaborator Summit. And I'd like to see if we can not necessarily phrase it as people are excluded from participating, which is at least how it sounds to me, which I may not be the intent, I may be off on that, but more of a, you're welcome to join, but we're not going to be starting at ground zero. We're going to be starting, at the level that we're currently working at. If that's at all possible.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm sorry, I forgot a piece of information too. We talked about having folks list out on the CFP what level of information they want to start at. So, and by no means, I'm sorry, I'm being a little blunt. By no means does anybody want to exclude anybody or say that they're going to exclude anybody, but more just exactly what you're saying, that like, okay, list out on the CFP, we're going to start at X level. And this is where we're going to start. So we won't be bringing people up to speed, but obviously if you want to jump in or just listen to the conversation, that's obviously fine too.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure we're abundantly clear on that, because that's something that,
Yeah, and that's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm a
little
tired. I've been traveling for a week, and then I get blunt.
you're good. No worries.
And is it, can we choose?
A quick thing about.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Michael. It was related to the past point. Thank you for calling that out, Eva. This is a new addition to the CFP process. The template now includes, we're trying to balance out what people want. And I'm sorry if it's really loud here. This is the only place I could find to work that had internet.
You're good.
The CFP is looking for people, the session facilitators, to indicate at what level people want to join. So people can explicitly indicate that they're going to start with less or more context for anyone who might join. And this is to balance out the needs that people have said before. It's like some sessions have given feedback saying that they weren't able to cover as much as they wanted because they had to spend a lot of time giving context to new people. Whereas other sessions said, this is great, we definitely need new people and we're totally happy to give context. So to balance that out, we're giving people that choice. I'm sorry if I covered the same stuff that was already covered maybe earlier in the meeting or just now. I've also been traveling and I'm a little
I think it might be helpful to just add a little bit in the description of what each one of them implies, because I read into it exactly what you described, but I think that might have been because I'd heard the other discussions.
Sorry, could I just share an idea that ties things a bit in my head? Yeah, so from the perspective of someone attending last year for the first time, I felt when you guys were talking, it would have been awesome if I had kind of a roadmap, like a little graphic that says, this is the path, or the different paths you can take as a collaborator as you excel through different levels. And that would have given me a visual to understand if I indicate I want to attend this level or that level. And that graphic would also be good because those who are preparing sessions would be able to say, okay, we rest around here on that graphic. So maybe it's about putting together a little roadmap, like a key that people can use to relate on what they mean by each level. And people who are attending could refer to it before going. They might even have a little a brief presentation for everyone about what each level is, a quick slideshow. And then they could even, say, oh, that means I want to attend earlier or even a bit later. So it's just a little centerpiece that ties the abstractions of what levels mean, because there are too many different perspectives here involved. So if one visual can tie it together, I can help with the visual, but the preparation and all of that, I'm kind of hands off this year.
So I think the challenge with that is that a lot of it is very loose and undefined. Many folks going in have a session or two that they're participating in. And I've been in sessions where it gets way more deep into nitty gritty than I expected it to. And I've also had sessions where I expected to get super deep and it's not. And that's kind of part of why we do these sessions, is that they're a way for us as collaborators to participate together in a way that is more natural and less rigid and defined, and allows us to get a lot of work done very rapidly, whether it's consensus building or like roadmap planning or something else. Often those results end up very non-deterministic from the beginning, if that makes sense. So that's the only kind of issue I see with that. So yeah, that I just wanted to bring that up as well.
It might be helpful to explicitly make clear to everyone who is going to the Collab Summit that they are welcome to invite other people to come. I've noticed that some people have tell other people to come, whereas other people might not be as sure. And I think to the point Tierney made earlier, that there are some people even in this meeting who went to the Collab Summit because they were explicitly said they were welcome to. That's something that we'd like to encourage. So to give people the permission, the people who are already coming, to tell other people to come if they sense a certain level of interest, would probably be a good thing.
I think we're just trying to strike a balance between making sure that we are open and inclusive, but that the collaborators don't have to spend all of their time bringing people up to speed if that's not what they wish to do, that they can use this in-person time to really hash things out and move forward. This dot just did an offsite and we are all remote and we all came together, and oh my gosh, so much got accomplished just because we were all in the same room. So I think the idea is that we want to strike a balance between the two.
Yeah, I think the type is trying to communicate whether it's going to be we'll ramp you up or we'll jump right in, right? So it's not about whether people are welcome or not. It's just how much will be done in terms of ramping people up or not, and before the conversation goes into the deeps or the deep issues or whatever.
And we hope by doing the system of saying, okay, this is where we're going to start, that will be clear, and hopefully we can communicate that to everyone.
Awesome. For this one, I'm going to time box it here just because we have a few other agenda items and this is the first. If we want to continue this discussion, I'm more than welcome to. I don't know if the issue in the agenda is the right place. If it's not, please feel free to create an issue in ComCom. I think I think a lot of us have strong feelings and opinions and thoughts on. And it seems like we're all generally driving in the same direction. So I think we're good for the most part.
I don't want to break out of your time box here, Attorney, but I just want to plant a seed for folks that we should probably consider some community committee sessions or get-togethers at the Lab Summit.
100%. I'm definitely planning on one that I'd like to have as many people at as possible, and I will also as many ComCom folks at, and I'd also like to have y'all join remotely if you're not able to join in person, because it's related to the thing I'm going to be sharing in a couple days that I'd like to get y'all's feedback on and input on. Cool. Time box, so no comments and questions on that one. Next item is required updates to ComCom charter. Again, I believe this is this just needs consensus for the most part. We've seemingly hit that. We have no objections. It's been open for what, like a month, just over a month now. There are comments from Ahmad, and from Dan, which I will go ahead and address soon here. Yeah, I think so. These are really good points. I did respond to the ones from Joe and also from Ahmad, it looks like, for the most part. So if y'all, if you left comments on it, and if you could check to see if I responded to them with questions or additional kind of context, I'd appreciate that, just so we can get this kind of going. I think we're pretty close on it, but otherwise, I think I think there's not a ton of more work here to be done. If you haven't already reviewed it, I'd love it if you could. We seemingly have consensus, and everyone's been told multiple times about it, so I don't think there's going to be an issue. But making this as accurate as possible is ideal.
Yeah, so I just the minutes so that you agree, what I took was we have consensus, no objections, we have enough approvals, land after addressing comments.
Yeah,
which I think
perfect.
are mostly going to be, typos or whatever. So
yeah, perfect.
So basically, we'll leave it as once you address those, unless anybody objects, it should be able to just land.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Thank you for capturing my rambling. Cool. Any comments, questions, thoughts, critiques on that? Cool. In that case, we can move on to Node.js social media community collaboration. This was a to-do on me. I created the repo social. Sorry, I'm just typing it in. So I created the repo. I also just directly committed to master, I believe, a PR or a README. I need to sync up with Rachel still to kind of push that forward and update the doc that we had going. But this is basically to launch. I will see if I can fit that in next week. I don't want to overcommit on that, but I should be able to perfectly.
So is it there
Awesome.
needs, okay, so there's a small update to the doc and then Rachel can send it out, is that?
Yeah, it's just like making sure we actually link this doc and link this repo and say that this is kind of it's going to live. I should also put a code of conduct link or file that links back to the standard code of conduct stuff in that repo. But otherwise, yeah, we should be good.
Awesome. Good job.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. Looking forward to seeing what kind of response we get. Awesome. Cool. Any thoughts, comments, questions on that one? Cool. In that case, we can move on. The next agenda item is Node.js collection next steps. I believe is Waleed on the call. I don't think he is. That one was waiting on review. I went through and reviewed it, and there's some to-dos on that, but otherwise, I think that one's probably ready to go.
Yeah, and that's on me.
Okay.
I'm a little backlogged right now, but I need to go in. Wally did ask me to go in and just check out your comments, and so that's on me. I'm also going to hopefully by mid next week go in and do that. But yeah, so we're making progress there too.
Awesome. Great. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, the comments are, I mean, there's a bunch of them, but they're also all relatively like lightweight.
Okay.
So yeah,
cool.
Hopefully shouldn't be a bunch.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate you going in and doing that.
Yeah, no worries, of course. Cool. Any comments, questions, thoughts on that? Cool. In that case, we can go ahead and move on to the final issue, which is initiative number 507, preparing questions for annual survey. Do you want to take it away, Saleh?
Gladly, I was just looking for the unmute. Yeah, so for the past couple of weeks, we've been brainstorming ideas, and we came to the conclusion that we want to understand the general challenges that people might be having, not be tunnel visioned or assume things. So we decided that we wanted to do surveys and basically the opportunity of the annual survey presented that we would do kind of like feeler questions, a section dedicated to try to give us some metrics reflective of the community, or at least a sample of it. And then, you know, from there we can tailor better survey mechanisms if you know that's the direction we'll take. But more importantly, we would be able to define the priorities of an initiative meant to facilitate what might be missing for some certain people who are trying to be contributors and are struggling with accessibility related aspects, including font and color, but not you know, restricted to it. I think that's a better way to phrase it this time around. There are you know, a lot of assumptions and mischaracterizations of what accessibility is, but it is really a person's ability to have an equal opportunity when using a particular medium. You know, there are different things that affect how accessible a collaboration medium is, and this is really an hope to you know, start connecting to this segment of the community. The questions are actually up for, I think, since over a week, maybe, you know, Friday of the week before. I'm going to paste the doc in the chat just so people would be able to see, or I could share my screen if that's preferable. Any suggestions?
I think the folks who wouldn't be able to click link also won't be able to see your screen sharing because they're on mobile. So I think it might be a way to get it to them where they can reference it.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, we could probably just follow along.
So yeah, so the link to the Google Doc has been on the issue. So you know, I try to keep the issue clearly bulleted with the links and everything on top, secondary to all the comments. And basically, it's two of us who really put in material, and we have like two different perspectives that we'd rather want to ask in the annual survey. We'd rather want to ask, you know, two different styles. One is very, very small, you know, like out of the way kind of thing, like, and the other one is a little bit more specific. So we have those two styles, and you know, we kind of wanted some feedback from everyone, which style would be you know, more appropriate in their opinion to help us also you know, select a direction and just stick with that. We do cover questions that talk about people who are routinely affected by you know, certain classes of you know, challenges related to audiovisual, physical motor, attention, cognitive, or mental health related. We also talk about whether or not they use aids for those, and they would pick which ones that relates to. We do a quick understanding of their perspective on the challenges. You know, they would rate how much smiling they're able to do, and we talk about whether accommodation tools are, you know, efficient, whether they're easy to use, to set up, and so forth. We then move to try to understand the frame of reference they come from, because not everyone who's doing this will be particularly affected, but we want to know if people work with other people who are, and then we try for the 4 categories, you know, generalized categories, to try to picture whether or not it's a common or a more common or a non-existent thing from their perspective. And then we just talk a little bit about the open source community, how they feel accommodated. And then we, you know, ask about Node.js in particular. And here the idea is we want to understand if people seem to have different views on how accommodated they feel. You know, it's really meant to just gear the initiative with the emphasis it needs. If it needs to focus on tools that are not Node.js, or whether it needs to focus on internal things. And, you know, we kind of have to know, or else we're going to be solving the wrong problems. And, you know, it follows with another 2 questions that are targeted to understand whether or not we should include them in communications related to further efforts and further surveys of that initiative. So those are the detailed questions. The brief questions, I mean, they're covering similar bases, but they are just short. And you know, everybody's welcome to leave comments or to copy the suggestion format we're using, and you know, just suggest a way under a headline with your GitHub handle. There is a point that I would like to bring to the group, that we actually have no clue, like both of us, me and Saleh, how to go ahead and approach those who are responsible for the survey for including those questions. So at this point, you know, we're happy to do whatever needs to be done that we're aware of, but this is something completely beyond us, and we really appreciate some help there.
Right.
Rachel.
So yeah, I was going to just say, Rachel's the one who's on the call.
Yeah. Rachel, do you know who the correct person would be to reach out to at the foundation about adding additional questions to the annual survey?
Me.
Okay, perfect.
And what's the timing of that? I know you've worked and there were some issues to get comments and refine it, but I can't remember when it was going to go out.
So we have to get it translated. And then once it's translated, it can go live. And so we can be a little bit flexible on timing. I know that we're sort of nearing the end of the year. So there hasn't been there's not an actual go live date just yet. It just kind of depends on, you know, how long it takes to get translated. So, you know, it hasn't gone live yet, but I'm happy to discuss inclusion for some of these questions, and, you know, what makes the most sense.
So I think it'd be good to get like your perspective, having worked with the survey. Like, there's, you know, whether the high level type questions or the more detailed level ones are a good fit with, you know, the existing questions in terms of like the overall flow and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we might. I mean, we'll definitely kind of want to take a look at the entire survey and just see where they do fit, so it doesn't feel so it just flows well. Yep. And so, you know, let me spend a little bit of time taking a look at of what's proposed, and does it make sense? Let me see. So I know that we do have an issue already open on the well, I closed it on the survey, but I don't know if it makes sense to link this issue over to that issue, just so that it's all connected. Either way, I can take a look at the proposed questions and kind of provide some feedback, if that's helpful. And then also, we do have a survey survey expert who kind of helps me in writing the questions and framing the questions. But since these are all new questions, you know, there aren't going to be any like trending issues or anything like that. It would just be, you know, really the consideration is how long do we really want the survey to be? And so just choosing the questions that are, you know, that are important. But this seems to be an important issue and an important direction. So
it's already ridiculously long, right?
Very long.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very long, and it's getting longer.
Yeah.
But we did get 1,600 respondents last time. So so folks who want to take this survey are going to take the survey. But it is a consideration. And it's, you know, I think we added upwards of 10 plus questions already from last time, because we sort of split some things out, and, you know, as things evolve, we'll obviously evolve the survey. So, you know, it's kind of hard to say whether it'll, you know, if folks won't respond because it's so long, or, you know, maybe adding these new things will add some more interest. We kind of just have to wait and see what folks actually do.
When does it ship?
Well, I mean, we're waiting on translation, and then it can go, and then essentially it has to go through another check with our survey expert just to ensure that things look good, and then it can go. So, you know, it could go within a month, but again, we've got a little bit of time to kind of, we do have time to kind of figure it out if that's what we want to do.
I was mostly asking because I was thinking, you know, as a way to perhaps try to increase respondents, setting up some kind of booth at Interactive, and then, you know, having an additional, like, not free t-shirt swag, but like something that's actually desirable. No, that was way more aggressive than I meant it to be. Something that is like above and beyond.
A token of our appreciation.
Yes, exactly. As a way to kind of, you know, lure people into, you know, doing the survey. That was way more aggressive than I meant it to be. I apologize.
I took the survey sticker or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly some cool things that we can incentivize folks to take the survey. And I do think, I mean, I certainly hope by December we can get this thing live.
Yeah. I guess just to close, two things. So you'll comment on the suggestion in terms of like what questions, maybe if you look at them and say these are the questions that you think we could fit in as a proposal, that would be a good next step.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I just wanted to ask the rest of the ComCom, you know, are there any, you know, ignoring specific questions, are there any concerns or objections to including, you know, these kinds of questions in the survey?
I have questions around what criteria we've used to date to remove questions from a survey. So on the flip side of adding questions, for what reasons have we removed any questions?
So, I mean, as far as criteria for removing or adding, I don't think there's anything stated hard and fast. I think it's based on community feedback. So over in, I think it's the admin repo, there's an issue in there where folks just kind of, you know, provide some feedback of, you know, as far as like what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and that kind of stuff. So not necessarily anything, you know, any specific criteria. It's just more so folks took a look at existing questions and, you know, provided feedback of what needed to change and what needed to be added. And I don't think anything there may have been things that were deleted. It's been kind of going on for a little while, so I'd have to go back and double check what was deleted specifically.
Great. In that case, or you know, with that, I think we should probably end the meeting just to time box and give people their time after the top of the hour.
Tierney, can I just jump in for 2 seconds?
Yep. Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell everybody that we had a super successful Ask Me Anything on Thursday morning, my time at least. We talked about HTTP and streams, and we had Anatoly and Steven on it. And we got some really good questions, and I think it had some good conversation. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Rachel for helping me with that. I think it was a really good first place to start, and I'm excited for our second one. So just let everybody know.
No, kudos to Eva. She rocked it. She did a great job getting that all together. It was good.
Excellent.
Yay, glad to hear that. Glad to hear it went well. If you, hold on, I have to cough, sorry. When those are going live, if you want to send, I don't know, I guess I don't want people to feel like ComCom at node.js is spam, but if you want to reach out to folks in ComCom, I'd be more than happy to help kind of share and promote those, just because it's something that I wanted. So yeah, more than happy to help promote.
How about next time I put together the sign up sheet, I will send it to you, and then when there's a Zoom link, I'll forward it on, and you can do as you wish. I don't want to spam anybody either, but if people are interested, I'd love to have them. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Tierney. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, folks.